Hey, we are back. Well, that was some nonsense. Yeah, conservatives are very insecure. And their feelings get hurt a lot by nothing. I'm tired of weak people, frankly. I don't know if anyone else is. Hey. Sorry about that. Getting set up again here. Cool. All right. Yeah. Escalations to war in Venezuela are BS. A blockade against oil tankers in and out of Venezuela are going to have tremendous economic impacts to their trade. Their cost of oil is going to skyrocket because of this. It's trying to cripple another country illegally without Congress. It's an act of war. Like, it's blockading a foreign nation, which you're not supposed to do, by the way. Oil prices settled at $55.27 per barrel on Tuesday, the lowest close since February 2021. Yeah, it's bad. It's lower than the cost of oil, but it's like, we're losing value here. Like, this is crippling global trade. And every single thing that he seems to do is bad for, like, long-term global, not only stability, right? Like, as a small business owner, I really hate the wishy-washiness of so many of so many of these policies, because it makes it impossible to, especially like trade or like sell anything that requires importing parts from other countries, like printing anything. A lot of ink and paper and like books and stuff you have to come from China, because it's just where you get better deals on that. There's like logistical storage and shipping at a global scale. Like this hurts businesses, even American businesses, because no one knows how to or wants to like trade with America. It's BS. On top of that, economically, like, who's going to invest in or bet on any stock or asset in the U.S. when it's this wishy-washy? Like, there's no consistency. It makes everyone nervous. So, I don't know. If you're invested in stocks, probably invest in some, in the military-industrial complex. If you care about ethics, it's time to maybe back up and move to another country. But, interestingly, I found this article as well from Reuters. Germany warns against jeopardizing peace after Trump's Venezuela tanker blockade. Germany has taken note of President Donald Trump's order to blockade sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela, and warned against any steps that would jeopardize peace and security in the region, said a foreign military spokesperson. Hey, thanks, Nyquil. The German government has an interest in preventing the situation in the region from deteriorating further. We are therefore viewing the overall situation with concern, said the spokesperson at a government press conference on Wednesday. This is a problem, right? Like, a strong, united Europe is good, not only for security purposes, because it keeps bigger superpowers in check when all these smaller nations can, like, get together, but it's good for trade as well. Like, ideally, we want to be on everyone's side. And this destruction of all U.S. relationships, for the sake of, like, Russia, Russia's poor. Russia's the superpower, but they're poor. They've been, like, trade embargoed against by everyone, for good reason, because they're unethical. Like, they're terrible. We don't need them. Like, the point was to make Russia irrelevant. Hey, read my hat. So yeah, like, this is really bad. If the U.S. ends up hard turning on Europe, I would have to root for Europe. I would, because Russia is evil. Russia is a weak, evil nation of corrupt oligarchs and losers that is, bordering on irrelevancy, and anyone trying to hitch a wagon onto Russia is going to collapse and fail. So this was from Senator Chris Murphy after boat strike briefing. Because there have been several boat strikes also around Venezuela, and this is like why it makes me nervous, right? There's no fentanyl and no legal justification. So people in Congress, in Senate, can get like access to classified information. They're learning more than we will see. Because there are some security concerns and stuff, but like the people who are actually seeing this and seeing what's going on and seeing these videos are seeing firing on, you know, on ships that don't, like, this is a war crime. It's bad. Two cabinet officials admitted to lawmakers that the accused drug trafficking vessels were believed to be smuggling cocaine, not fentanyl. He also said that Rubio and Hegseth said intelligence suggested the boats were going to Europe, not the U.S., contradicting the administration's public justification for the strikes. This is a massive waste of national security resources and of your taxpayer dollars, the Connecticut Democrat added. And yeah, like, this thing too, like, all of this costs money. All of this costs taxpayer money. I think there are situations where sometimes, like, a war or fighting might be ethically justified. Are these actions against the regime though? Like, how does this play out? What comes from this, and then what's, like, in charge, right? Like, who comes out in charge of Venezuela after this? Is it going to be someone good? Or someone horribly corrupt who just sucks up to Donald Trump? I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, I don't know, they got the information, right? And they're like, oh, these boats were headed to Europe. And also it was cocaine. It was not fentanyl. Like, isn't fentanyl in the U.S.? Like, it's produced in the U.S.? It's not like a drug coming up from South America. It's just not that kind of thing. Which means, like, this was a false reason. Like, they just shot boats because. And I don't support, like, drug trafficking at all, but, like, it's unethical. It was, like, there were lies. Like, you can't start a war over lies. That's very bad precedent. You do not want anyone to have that power. Like, I don't care about your politics. Like, you should not let people in power just strike boats for no reason and then, like, lie about the reason. I mean, because it could be you next, you know? And they purposely then, once they're shooting the boats and they're disarmed, they can't do anything, then the people are trying to get off the boat and then they're shooting them again just to make sure they can kill people, which is bad. It's bad. It's really, really bad. Navy Admiral Frank Bradley, who authorized a follow-up strike, will brief lawmakers on the House and Senate Armed Services Committees regarding the operation Wednesday, a congressional aide told The Hill. So I haven't seen anything about that yet. Yeah, I mean, drug trafficking is bad. Like, there are better ways to stop drug trafficking. Like, that is a problem we should solve. But this is, like, someone blowing the money to stop things like that on shooting random boats that weren't even going to the U.S., and, like, you know, even when they surrender, just shooting them again, like, just out of cruelty and spite. Like, efficiently, if your goal was, and this is, like, a fair goal, to stop drug trafficking, even, like, to stop drug trafficking boats, you don't want to shoot them to disarm them until they stop and they, like, retreat, right? You don't want to waste extra opportunities you have to stop a boat from coming into the U.S. just to kill those people. It's just bad. I'm running on TikTok and on YouTube. I put chats on screen, but I'm a woman streaming, so I can't put chat on stream because of the horrible things people say. It violates terms of service. Meanwhile, in Congress itself, we're also seeing, like, more Republican clashing as that coalition kind of starts to crumble. GOP centrists choose nuclear option in fight with Mike Johnson over Obamacare. So in the same way that the Epstein files were forced to have a vote for their release through a discharge petition. So there's, like, they can vote on a bill or something, but then also they can have a discharge petition where they go around and get signatures. When they have enough signatures, they're required to have a vote on something. Because the Republican playbook, since the Obama years, has been to block votes from happening. Like, not even to just, like, they don't even have the votes to stop something. They will just literally not hold a vote on something, which is BS. So the idea could be, you know, everyone wants this, but they're not even going to let us have that. Like, which is undermining democracy, frankly. But because we've hit such a stagnation in the evolution of how all these things work, how our governments worked, where it's like led to this complete stall out. Now to get pretty much anything important through, it's requiring discharge petitions. Weirdly though, as the Republican coalition cracks, as some of them frankly get tired after like pretending to care and support Trump when they really don't, because he's like cringe, and they all know it. Like they just lie for power, but they even know it. They're now sending a discharge petition. So we had the one for Epstein, and we had another one too. So back when there was the government shutdown, the shutdown ended because like Democrats had a shutdown because they want to keep up the COVID implemented subsidies to the ACA, which means like it was meant to be a Band-Aid fix from the COVID years, right? Of it's going to like subsidize healthcare costs because it's COVID, people need healthcare, and people need to save a little money. It's not a good systemic solution. It's basically giving more money to the insurance companies, but which sucks long term. But I mean, at the end of the day, like short term, you can afford healthcare when you others couldn't. It makes life a little easier for you, and that's worth it. And because healthcare costs are so insane, that was kind of necessary to keep it affordable. Republicans in their big bad bill in March ended those subsidies to like the bill says they're going to end at the end of the year, so they're going to end January 1st. So the Democrats had a shutdown, and their terms to shutdown was, we need those subsidies back because like people need to afford healthcare. And so they didn't get that, but they got a vote, a promise to vote in December in the Senate on the subsidies, which is pathetic, but it's something. I mean, it was trying to make it more of like a PR thing in December as a standalone thing. It did provide focus to the issue, but like it's not enough to win on that issue, but there's not enough votes to win on that issue. And that was going to be in the Senate. And the weird thing is also, having the subsidies would be good for Republicans. Democrats want to renew the subsidies. Republicans don't. But having the subsidies in play, like renewing them, like would be good for Republicans because it would look like they have actually made something more affordable, and you know, like it made something look affordable, something that's good for people, like an actual America First policy, instead of really, frankly, letting people get what they voted for, which would be like, okay, you voted for this party doesn't want you to afford healthcare, so we're just going to let that stand, which would be brutal. It would be brutal. Yeah, like there is no Republican healthcare plan. Trump's line has been, it's just 2 weeks away. For every single thing, 2 weeks away, because he knows through experience the news cycle is dead before 2 weeks. Like he knows that's the cultural memory. So that's enough to get things off his back and not have it come up again. But there is no alternative healthcare plan. It's been like 2 weeks since 2017. Yeah. There is no other plan. The Trump signs are coming down. It's bad. The subsidies would be a needed win for Republicans. And it is kind of bizarre that Democrats are like kind of trying to hand that to Republicans by saying, hey, like, let's renew them. Let's talk about that. This discharge petition does then require the House to also have a vote on it, even though Mike Johnson doesn't want to. So they did hit 218 votes, which is necessary. So the Democrats also have to vote to renew the subsidies. But Mike Johnson could just kick it down the road until after January to, you know. So I mean, because it expired January anyway, so it wouldn't do anything. Like the damage would be done. It's enough to bankrupt people. So Republicans continue to lie about having a healthcare plan. Democrats are trying to save them with the really bad, really bad system we have. But it's what can happen. I mean, I really was hoping for like a public option. In 2009, actually, there was going to be a public option. Like the original vision for the Affordable Care Act aka Obamacare, which are the same thing. A lot of Republicans hate on Obamacare, but like they only survive because of the Affordable Care Act, and they don't understand that's the same thing. Yeah, the subsidies like passing would save Republicans from the consequences of their own actions. So the Affordable Care Act was going to have a public option, effectively be like 80% of the way towards universal health care, but they didn't have enough votes, so they had to cut the public option. So it's better than what we had, but like not great, because they needed one independent to like sway the vote and get the ACA passed, and that one independent's term was, I'll vote for this, but not a public option. Forget his name. We kind of peaked there, unfortunately. So I'm really curious now, what are the Republicans who are jumping ship from Johnson's leadership to push for this vote on extending the ACA subsidies? Because these are going to be more moderates who need to win elections in contested areas. There have been weeks of tense infighting among GOP leaders, moderates, and hardliners that failed to produce any Republican fix for the end of the month Obamacare deadline. Yeah, it's an active protest that is unusual even in this fractious and unruly House, with 4 moderate Republicans agreeing to deliver a major floor win for the leader of the House Democratic Caucus. A big problem to me is, Joe Lieberman. Yeah, it was the one in 2009. It wouldn't let pass, unfortunately. But a big problem to me right now is, like, in Congress and Senate, we've had kind of an abdication of powers and responsibilities. And I think leadership is important. Like, I have a background, like, I'm a project manager and stuff. And like a designer and stuff. It's really important to like have clear leadership structures so things get done. And there's kind of a trifecta, but it's like kind of just lazily giving into this idea of a dictatorship, where the Mike Johnson in charge of the House is only specifically doing what Trump wants, and not acting as an independent body, which is sad. Like, Mike Johnson has more power to stand up and do more. But for the sake of like kind of following his leader, the Congress right now that we're seeing, the House of Representatives, is in chaos. It's fracturing a lot. It's kind of a disaster because like they don't really know what their own leadership is. And even with the Epstein files, like Mike Johnson was like not supporting at least the Epstein files, which caused, I think, a lot of this Republican exodus because they don't believe in him as a leader. He feels very weak. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to get people on her way out of office to kick Mike Johnson out as Speaker of the House and then make them have to pick a new leader. Because even if you are Republican and you like Republicans, like, this is pathetic. It's weak. It's so weak. Like, there's no respect for this. This is not a powerful institution. And it should be a powerful institution. If you notice, your president abusing his rules and power, Congress is supposed to stop that. Congress is supposed to make a difference and be worth voting for, actually. Like, Congress is supposed to have the power of the purse. So things like the tariff policies shouldn't really be allowed because Trump keeps flaunting them as economic policies, when really he should only be allowed to do tariffs without Congress's approval if it's like a diplomacy kind of thing. But if it's actually just his economic policy, he's not supposed to be able to do that. Same with like declaring war. You need Congress to approve a war because it costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of American lives. You need American representation and buy-in from across the country to do it. And they're not getting any of that. So it's pathetic and it's really falling apart. It's like very hollow leadership and not a good long-term anything. So even now for the ACA subsidies, which the ACA subsidies are liked by most Americans. It's not like a good long-term fix. It is a Band-Aid fix. It's refreshing a Band-Aid fix, which isn't great, and costs are still going up anyway. We need a better solution. It's bad, it's moderate. It's what we could do quickly and easily, but it's something, and it's maybe necessary. And a lot of moderate Republicans are going to see, it's so unpopular to go against this. And Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He's so out of touch. He has no other term to run for. Even if he wanted to try and break the rules and run for third term, I don't think he can live that long. I mean, he's an old guy who eats McDonald's a lot. Like, he's showing signs of health decline. So following that leadership on issues like this, there's no investment. In the same way, I wouldn't let any, old person lead the way on, what our education policy should be, investment in future generations, or, energy policy. You need people who are younger, who are, in this and doing what they want and what they need and their families need. They need to be invested in what they're playing. And so that's why, like, Congress representatives, especially, and the House, who are up for re-election every 2 years, are going to be the most receptive and reactive to these political wins. Yeah, but it is, so following the presidency on this, like, no matter what, is political poison. We're starting to see the cracks. On the Epstein files, we really saw the cracks. And we're just going to see that happen more and more and more and more and more frequently. Because this is just a failure of a leadership structure. No matter your goals, like, this does not work long term. The subsidies will not be renewed and people will be hurt. I need these subsidies to live, so we'll see how that goes, because I have medical issues as well. The centrists, led by Reps Brian Fitzpatrick and Mike Lawler, are privately threatening Johnson to change his strategy on the expiring enhanced affordable care subsidies, or allow Democrats to secure that major victory on the floor in January. Interesting. Fitzpatrick has pushed his own compromise legislation to extend the subsidies for 2 years instead of Democrats' 3, and with major reforms attached. But he was repeatedly blocked by party leaders from securing a floor vote. This is the weird thing, right? Like, in any case, the moderates are going to be the ones first, like, begging, we need to do something about this. Like, we need to, you know, I'm going to get kicked out of office. Like, my constituency hates me over this. And these are, like, moderate Republicans, too. Like, they're not the enemy, but to be treated by the enemy proves that Donald Trump is just out of touch, because he's the people who just, I don't know, they want to be evil. Like, he wants, you know, major reforms attached. He wants to call off as many people as he can. But they know they need to do something. And to be told, no, we're not going to do anything, is bizarre. The only thing worse than a clean extension with no anti-fraud and no income caps is a cliff. So obviously left with a Hobson's choice, he told reporters, speaking about the Democratic bill, which includes none of the reforms that centrists of both parties have endorsed. And this is, like, where compromise and bipartisanship is supposed to happen, because, like, practically, you need, like, roads and hospitals and healthcare. Like, there's just some basic stuff where you're kidding yourself if you think, like, you can run a modern nation without these things. There is a floor, there's a ceiling on how evil you can be. The House on Wednesday is expected to vote on a separate, narrower healthcare proposal from GOP leadership that does not address the expiring subsidies, all but guaranteeing that the money will lapse and spike in premiums for tens of millions of Americans next year. A bipartisan group of senators is also working on a parallel track to strike their own health care agreement. And the weird thing is, like, I mean, frankly, you know, there's lots of, like, on the left, you get Democrats who will make lots of arguments about ethics and morality and, like, these big picture grand ideas, often from a place of, like, privileged college education and not needing them personally. But they're more kind of value statements, right? Or, like, building a kind of personal identity as a good person or someone who cares. That's a thing that happens. I mean, it's going to kind of shallow. Like, I roll my eyes a little bit. Like, I have disabilities, and to hear some people, like, talk about it, like, very virtue signally, whatever. But the thing, like, these are real issues. And something like healthcare, healthcare affects everybody, and it especially affects older people who tend to vote conservative. And healthcare is apolitical. The bottom line is this, like, your health doesn't negotiate. Your health, your physical health, doesn't care about what you want to believe. People will put up with a lot of personal pain to, like, hurt people or for their own ideological broad goals, but, like, this is a direct bottom of the barrel physical kind of thing. I'll look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs real quick, because I've been, like, pulling from my design background, like, a lot, and it's really helped me understand a lot of, like, how political things pan out. Here is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a thing in psychology, and it kind of shows people's, like, priorities. So you start at the bottom, right? And the basic premise is you need to start from the bottom and work up. And if one of these levels of security is pulled out from under you like a Jenga block, you don't care about anything higher. You fall to, like, your lowest, stablest thing. It needs to be in this order. And this is incredibly helpful. Go back to this. So first you have physiological needs. Like air. We don't even think about air because we can't imagine life without air. But you need air, you need water, you need food, you need shelter, you need sleep, you need clothing, and then to reproduce. These are also in order, like, from left to right. This is a nice version of this graph because it shows the immediacy. Like, you're only going to make it maybe a minute without any air. You need water what is it, 3 days? But I mean, I would want water more frequently than that. And then like food, you need food as well, but if you have water, you can get by a little bit. Then shelter, because dying of natural causes might take a little longer. You could figure out something, but not very long. Up to reproduction for the next generation. Then you have safety needs, like security, enjoyment, resources, health, property, being able to kind of put in some stakes, like not quite building a community yet, but having your house that could be part of a community, and then you go to building a whole community. Like you have connections. People want relationships. If you look at a lot of data on what people want these days, like young men, especially, and young people in general, really want relationships more because through COVID and everything, don't have those skills. Do not have those skills to build relationships and want that very desperately. And don't have like this socioeconomic security to start a family. And that's becoming a really real pain point, which to me shows a lot of people are stuck at this level. Then you have esteems, like respect, self-esteem, status recognition, strength, freedom. A lot of people that are caught in like manosphere pipelines, even if they have like some friends and they don't really care about relationships, are stuck here. Like they want to be famous, they want to be an influencer, they want to be seen as like strong, respectful. Here you have people like clinging onto like anti-immigration type stuff because they want to be seen as like the scary predator because they have a very like rudimentary child idea of what makes someone strong or good or worthy of respect, which is sad. But like, I mean, when Democrats then, or like liberals or leftists come out with these big like ethical, moral reasons why you should respect immigrants, it's not getting through because these people are coming at it just as really a way to like earn this, you know, I want to stand up for a community and feel a part of something against something else, or to feel like I'm a tough guy. And it's like not going to hit because actually caring about big ethical principles and values is a sign of like some development, like mentally, emotionally, socially. You need like nutrition and education. And here's where you get actually where college came from as an idea. Self-actualization. The desire to become the most that one can be. To be curious. And if you look at like hobbies among like rich people, here where you get like meditation. I'm gonna go on hikes. I want to like do art. I want to create something. I want to just be myself. The concept of a liberal arts education meant like a free person's education, where you had through the Enlightenment and stuff, like a bunch of, you know, bored noblemen who like had all their basic needs taken care of and they weren't satisfied. And they set on this journey like, I want to understand the world and be cool and be something. So any broad sweeping principles, whether that's like we need to be a strong Christian nation or we need to protect democracy or like coexist, like all these things are actually these self-actualization, like big moral principles. You cannot argue this to someone who is lower on this totem pole. And a lot of people are lower on the totem pole. And so the ACA subsidies actually hit like into like physiological needs bordering on safety needs because it's really directly a safety need. Like I need to go to the doctor, I'm in medical pain, but not being able to do that cuts into their money for basic needs. If you're like you're screwed, that is a gnawing thing. So you can't argue the kind of MAGA like we're gonna be strong and base type nonsense talking points, like the aesthetics of fascism. They will choose that if they have the safety. Like that sounds cool and badass to a lot of people. There are reasons like why, like through their own insecurities or development, like they want to do that. And even I think there's a warped way, but like believing in people, like believing in your community, like you want to be something to be proud of. You want to consider yourself a good person or work for that. Or like, you know, you like your neighborhood and your family and friends. You don't really think about the implications or like how that, you know, this is warped or bad. But like some people like for good reasons can end up in like bad ways. But that's all kind of bigger picture stuff. They need health care. And if you look at like the policy platforms of both parties and who wins and who loses, at the end of the day, it's really like where are the American people at on average? And then who's shooting to fill up to that line and who's aiming above that line? Because you're going to have fewer people above the line than below the line. Because anyone who doesn't have like the stuff below isn't going to care. Protect Democracy didn't land in 2024 because people were worried about the damages of price gouging and hyperinflation post-COVID on groceries. It's like that simple. And it is very kind of like basic there. And so like, we're starting to kind of see that crack a little bit. And now that Republicans and conservatives are falling back to, because they don't have ideas, they have a lot of time left to fill, they're falling back to some 2000s style neocon takes on what it means to be Republican or conservative. And we see problems with this because they're like trying to advocate this, you know, image like Christian nationalism, this weird virtue signal thing. Some people are into that, especially if they're trying to feel a sense of community. But they're not even really appealing to the community because they're out of touch. They're appealing more to this, like, righteousness. Like, they're so bought into Christianity because they're old people, like the Heritage Foundation, that they don't, like, they're just pushing it as a value statement. And that is now falling flat because people don't have enough, like, food and shelter. And we're forgetting that in the 2000s, like, before the Chuck Schumer kind of long-term push, Republicans were more, like, balanced class-wise. Like, the parties were more balanced, like, class-wise. And you would have, like, some snarky, like, suburban Republicans who might work as, like, lawyers and doctors and stuff who'd be like, actually, I just care about my tax policy. You know, I don't care about the ethics of this, like, geopolitical war, but it's, like, good for my wallet and my investment portfolio. That shifted because through, like, MAGA and Trump, they've now shifted to the party of, like, blue working class workers, which means more of them are going to be focused on, like, getting by. They're in a lower class, and they can't focus as much on these big issues. So now that they're trying to redo the 2000s era, like, Middle Eastern wars for oil, pitching the same thing of, like, this righteous American war, no one's buying it because too many people, I mean, things have gotten worse. Like, we're worried about physiological needs. We're worried about safety needs. Like, practical. Like, people can't afford to care about that. And that is a big, big, big problem for that strategy, and that's why it's going to collapse. So that's why I expect, like, a big blue wave coming off of this. I expect this war to backfire hard. Because even when it comes to, like, safety needs, what people are concerned about, if you look at in these categories, it orders them by level of direct importance. Like, water is a utility. Like, electricity, which leaves, like, heat and temperature stuff with shelter, is a utility. Shelter, like, housing prices are a big deal. Food is going up tremendously. It's a problem, right? People can't afford this. That's where we're at. So even gas prices, like, the pitch of, oh, we'll do this war for oil and then gas prices will be lower. People don't care about gas prices. A lot of people can, like, get Ubers occasionally if you only travel, like, occasionally. That's what I do. Like, I have a disability. I can't drive. I have, like, a bad leg and, like, a one disease I can, like, pass. I have all kinds of. I'm not a healthy girl, but I don't travel enough, and occasionally just using public transportation or, like, an Uber for something specific is more worth it to me than, like, getting a car. Gas prices don't really affect me. And they don't affect a lot of people. If you're trying to make a cutback, especially now we have so much social media, digital communication, you can get by without driving a lot. So gas prices are not going to make as big an impact. I mean, if it's not going to lower the prices of other stuff. We're not getting food from from Venezuela. So that's a bad idea. Another article had the same thing. I'm curious, like, what they're different take-wise. Centrist Republicans revolt, signing a petition to force a vote on Obamacare funding. Terribly written. Hey, Hakeem Jeffries did something. Good for him. I'm not a big fan of Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's better than Chuck Schumer. He's still not great. Hakeem Jeffries kind of lives every day like it's his first day as a human, and he's trying his best, and he's not very good at it. He wants so hard to be, like, a charismatic figure, and he just flops all the time. He doesn't have it. He kind of gets it in theory, but not at all in practice. So he fails to, like, project strong leadership. Nancy Pelosi was better. Like, both sides have said openly. Nancy Pelosi let herself be the fall woman publicly and on the front for anything, but then behind the scenes was ruthless and got everything done. So she, like, built this, like, decades-long reputation as, like, she's, you know, kind of a bitch, but, like, things got done. Hakeem Jeffries is weak. He can't pull any conclusions or output like she could. Thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah, like so Hakeem Jeffries is, like, he's trying, and so that's the thing. Like, also, a lot of people, it's so easy on both sides to just, like, hate on Democrats specifically for some reason on everything, no matter what they do, and I'm just tired of that because it doesn't do anything. And I will say, like, I think Hakeem Jeffries in general isn't great. He's done one good thing here, so for that, good job, Hakeem Jeffries. You get one Scooby snack, like a Skyrim skill, right? He's, like, upped his confidence to 2. So this is something. He has done something. So here, this article has all 4 Republican representatives, which is good. Brian Fitzpatrick from PA, Mike Lawler from New York, Rob Bresnahan from PA, and Ryan McKenzie from PA. This is fascinating too because Pennsylvania is where I grew up. It's a swing state. Someone says in YouTube chat, I'm a disgrace to Irish people. I am not Irish. I can still be a disgrace to Irish people, that's fine. And like, I would even be happy a little bit. I would like, you know, be less partisan and a little more chill. If the Republican Party could claw back even a little bit. Like, I think of John McCain. I think John McCain was in many ways a good person. Like, John McCain called out Islamophobia and, like, weird racial attacks. Like, John McCain was kind of the last bastion against this weird populism. He's dead now. And his last act was, like, spiting what the Republican Party has become to, like, save the Affordable Care Act, which was a really, really bold move. He had kind of a reputation for that. But, I mean, this is just a disgrace. I don't understand how anyone, no matter how conservative you are, no matter how conservative your upbringing, could look at this Republican Party and be proud of this. Like, I will call myself a patriot. I think that's kind of a word that's really free for the taking, and it's pathetic that we've let the worst people unilaterally claim that, and that's pathetic. Like, ideally, I would be comfortable if we were at a place where we could have legitimate, good faith, fine political disagreements again, right? Like, even on something like tax policy, like, I think there's an answer that's better for everyone and answers that are better for rich people. But, like, if it's just, you know, it's kind of mundane, it's, like, not driven by bigotry, someone could just say, like, I'm rich and I want the thing that benefits me most personally. Like, all right, you're outnumbered and, like, fuck you, but I understand that. This irrational, like, populist bigotry that's swept everything and now wants to cut healthcare just because woke, I don't understand. This is poison for the nation. And it's interesting to me how 3 of the 4 of these representatives are from Pennsylvania, which shows they're looking at, like, that's one of the big swing states to watch for 2026 and 2028. They're seeing a blue wave on the horizon, and they're trying to shore up their hold. It's really sad, too, growing up in Pennsylvania. It's an old state, and it feels like it. I mean, I lived in more rural, suburban PA, and I've lived in Philly. Philly was better. In small town PA, and then, like, my grandmother lived in, like, rural PA. Like, coal country. And Pennsylvania as a state is kind of in a death rattle. Wow, someone mass reported my stream on TikTok again. Whatever, that's fine. It's in a death rattle. Where, like, Pennsylvania keeps voting for conservatives. Sorry, my stream is going weird. Hello, internet? We'll see if this passes here. Don't worry about it. Pennsylvania keeps voting for Republicans because Pennsylvania towns are poor, and they're getting poorer. They see brain drain to cities. Coal is long past. The legacies of those towns are running on antique shops, and you only have so many antiques you can sell. And there's only so many people around still to buy them. It's a large state of old, deeply rooted cultures and families who are proud and desperate and feel rightfully forgotten. And every time an election came around, we'd always get the mailers in the mail. Where even both parties sometimes would vote to just lower taxes, which is real sad. They'd just vote to lower taxes. And all candidates would run on lowering taxes because to them that looked like a way to gain a few bucks in the short term when they needed a few bucks. But that's caused a spiral where then things get less funded and less funded and less funded and more privatized. And it just saps the life from those communities. Really just saps the life from those communities. My stream keeps disconnecting. I might have to restart. Let me know if there's any issues with the stream. I can't tell. Streamlabs is freaking out. But as those communities start to kind of wither, they keep voting against themselves for short-term gain, and there's nothing left. Like, they're killing their own legacy. And then occasionally have some big thing move in. In my old town, there was like going to be a new like gas station that opened. You should get more money from like the major roads. That would itself cause hellish traffic jams around the local communities. It's just this self-sabotage again and again and again. And you have like private businesses like throwing money at it just for personal gain at the expense of local communities. Just bad building. Let me know if the stream is messing up. I might restart. I'm going to restart. It's looking bad on my end with Streamlabs.